This is GIS 311 Quiz 4 demo video. I'm on step 3, which is currently page 7 out of 10 in the directions. In this step, we will create a new data frame titled Demographics and use it as a practice area to perform an attribute join, a clip, and a buffer. I'm going to start this step by saving a map as step 3. And at the end, I can just save it with the save button. Another option is to save it as user ID quiz 4 step and then whatever the step is, and then add underscore and any notes you would like to add at that time. I've saved the map as step 3. I'm going to insert a data frame, naming it demographics. I'm going to use this as a practice area to perform the 3 tools, the 3 items. We're going to add block groups and clear the data frame, clear the projection of the data frame. Nothing should go away because it's all right there. Demographic sample, no need to clear it now, there's no spatial data there. And toxic waste, and clear the data frame, projection of demographics. Everything should line up, which it appears to do. To perform an attribute join, remember you always start with the shapefile, and we'll be joining it to demographic sample. We'll be joining demographic sample to block groups. But first I need a unique key. I'm going to show you my technique. I've opened both of these, both of the layers, both of the items that I'm going to join. I'll put demographic sample by clicking and dragging it to this little item, and it looks like demographic sample well, no, they're actually about the same. I'm going to look at demographic sample because they are about the same and it's on the right to find a field that would be great for a join key. In this case, never OID. I'll skip over GOID too. These fields, while you don't know exactly what these items mean, they're not any unique key. They're just they're just quantities of things. So the only logical choice is GOID2. From there, I look at the number of characters. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. It looks like I look for a field in the other, in block groups, that has about 12. And here it is again. We can tell that there are about 12, or definitely the same number as in GOID2. Now I now know, and I may want to write down GOID and GOID2. I close, and again, this is a review. Block groups, joins and relates, join. I choose GOID. Arc automatically chooses demographic sample. That's the only option in this layer, it seems. And it automatically assigns GOID2. In this case, I would like to keep all records, and I'll click validate join. I should get all checks, and all of the records are going to join. I'll click OK. Remember the special processes that must happen. After you do a join, I want to make the join permanent. So I'm going to create block group demographic shape by exporting. Right click, export data, make sure that it goes to my right data folder. Notice it's going to quiz 3 rather than quiz 4. I'll use the drop down arrow, go to quizzes, quiz 4, navigate to my data, and then I said I wanted to name it block group demographics. I like to do a little cheat by clicking on block groups to get the start of the name and then underscore demographics. Going to data K4 and save. I'll click yes, I would like it added to my data frame. I can now verify in the attribute table that the data has been added. It's much longer now. There are the addition of all of the columns from the demographics have been added to the shapefile. And that's a refresher on completing a join, an attribute join. We'll now perform a clip. And a clip extracts input features that overlay the clip features. We use this tool to cut out a piece of one feature class using one or more of the features in another feature class as a cookie cutter. This is particularly useful for creating a new feature class, also referred to as the study area or area of interest, that contains a geographical subset of features in another larger feature class. I'm going to clip toxic waste by the block group demographics, giving me a new shapefile titled toxic waste BGD, which stands for block group demographics. The clip tool is found in the geoprocessing menu. It's also found over here in the analysis tools, extract, clip, but the easiest place to always find the clip is in geoprocessing. Clip. If you forget what the input and clip features should be, look at the diagram. In this case, the input is like a big roll of cookie dough, and that's the item that is bigger than the other. And this is our toxic waste, so that's our cookie dough. I'll put toxic waste, and the clip would be block group demographics. It's going to K4, data K4, and the title again was toxic waste BGD. Toxic waste BGD. Once I have the shapefile name entered and I know that it's going to the right place, I'll click OK, and very quickly the clip is completed. I'll click close. It's added to the data frame. If I turn off the old toxic waste, I can see that the new one is clipped by the block group demographics. So notice I had to turn off toxic waste to see that it was actually clipped. And that's how you perform a clip. We'll now perform a buffer. A buffer creates polygons around input features to select a specified distance, or to a specified distance. My area of interest is the block group demographics. I'm going to give myself some more room by closing my toolbox and zooming to the full extent. And notice that because toxic waste is in the map, even though it's not activated, toxic waste defines zooming to the full extent, and I can show that by turning it on. I'm going to turn it off then and now zoom to block group demographics as a layer, and it now is much more visible. And I'll perform the buffer. The buffer is another item that can be found in the geoprocessing menu, and since I closed my toolbox, I won't bother showing you where it is there, but you could turn on your toolbox and find it, or use the search. That'll help you find the tools that you're looking for. In this case, geoprocessing buffer. My input features will be the toxic waste BGD, that is block group demographics. The output feature class, in this case we're just going to name it toxic waste buff. The linear unit, we're going to choose 1 and change this to miles. then there is a choice. We could dissolve all under dissolve type, or none, or we could list. In this case, I've never used list. In this case, we're going to dissolve all. Dissolve all turns all of the buffers into one layer, so that if they intersect, that will not create multiple buffers, it'll just create one. And you'll see different types as we go through different labs and quizzes. I'll click OK. Buffer takes a little bit longer because it's drawing polygons. I'll click the close, and you can see the buffer behind the points. Let's zoom into them even further. Notice that when there's multiple buffers, they are dissolved into one big shapefile. Each of these, field, each of these has their own line in the attribute table. This would have a line, this one would have a line, this one would have a line. So we have much fewer buffers than we do actual toxic waste sites. I'll open the attribute table to show you what that looks like. And in this case, we dissolved all. So when I select one, they're all selected. So they're all dissolved into one layer. I'm going to perform another dissolve to show you what it looks like when you do not dissolve. I'm going to do it in the exact same way. Toxic waste, BGD. I'm going to name this one. Where's toxic waste buff? Look, it's looking in quiz 3. I need to navigate to quiz 4. Toxic waste buff. Oh, toxic waste buff. And I'm going to give that an underscore no dissolve, so that we know that this is the one that does not dissolve, and I'm going to choose none for the dissolve. Click OK. A value is, so I forgot the value. I'll add 1 mile, so it'll be the same exact distance as the previous, and the buffers are created. I'll close this buffer, turn off the initial buff, and now we can see the difference between individual buffers with each one having their own line. And let me open this. Each one has their very own line. There's 367 of them versus the original buffer layer that had just a single line. So those are the two types of buffers: dissolve all and dissolve none. And we've just created a simple 1 mile buffer around each toxic waste site. We'll use buffers quite often in 311, 312, and 414. That's the conclusion of step 3. I'm going to save my map by just clicking save because it's already saved as step 3. It'll just update my map a little bit. And that concludes step 3. Be sure to watch the video for step 4.